Um, Hi, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jon, short for Jonathan, but everybody calls me Jon. Abdus-Samad is my convert or revert name. Yeah, you can call me Jon simply. Brother Jon, usually, is how they call me. Sounds like I'm a Christian monk. Yes. Well, my background. I was born in a very small town. I come from a French-Canadian background. French, yes. I learned English much later in life. Well, there was not a lot of religion or spirituality, really. Not a lot of room for spirituality in my family, let's say. But still, I had something inside of me. I really had, personally, I think, a strong spiritual fiber, maybe. I'm not bragging, meaning I was very special. No, I was just, I think I was a contemplative kid, very sensitive. So on my own, I think I started looking for answers, and also, as I told you once, I was very prone to fall into meditative states. When I was young, I was very quiet, and I like sitting still. So I think I scared my parents even at some point by telling them about my experiences, and they brought me to a doctor. But today I know, after years of meditation, I know exactly what was happening. I was just a very, innate ability to reach, this quiet space that now I'm trying to teach others to reach, which I think is, our natural state, should be our birthright, our natural state of being. And but I discovered all that years later. At first, I thought I was just a strange kid, but later, I'd say in my early adulthood or late teens, that's when I started really becoming seriously obsessed. I'd say I would use the word obsessed with finding the meaning of life. Or I didn't know clearly what it was at the time, but I really wanted to, I'd say, really, yeah, I could feel that something was missing. And also I got into around 19 years old, I got into, I think, what was an awakening experience. That too, I didn't know at the time. I thought I was dying or going mad. And but a very powerful experience that changed me forever. It took me a while, actually, to come back from that experience, meaning being able to function again. And because I had to learn how to integrate that experience to my life if I wanted to be a functional human being, that's when I started seriously studying meditation, especially because I thought that probably if I were to study the traditions who know something about the mind and functioning of the mind, that probably could answer. My hope was to meet someone like a master that could help me. I felt like I was trying to birthing myself, trying to give birth to myself on my own, let's say spiritually, and I never managed to do that quite right on my own. So truly, I was happy when I met real teachers, but it took a while because, as I told you, I come from a small place, and there was not much there in terms of meditation or even yoga. There was not even a yoga school, but I found a Tai Chi school, yeah. And that clicked very much with me. That fit right in with my temperament. And I think I progressed quite fast, actually. I was practicing 5 hours a day, every day. I think in a few months, I don't know. I think I made some some people anxious at the Tai Chi school with my progress. But yeah, and I started teaching also the Tai Chi, but still it wasn't enough. I wanted to go further, so I moved to the big city, which was Montreal, which is still Montreal, in eastern part of the province of Quebec, the French province of Canada. Montreal is a big town, big city, and there I could join, because they had different types of meditation centers. So I joined a Buddhist group, which was kind of a good. For a while, it was good for me. It was what I thought was the best thing. I thought for a while. I even thought of becoming a monk myself. That was at first the Tibetan tradition. Yeah, I studied the methods and all the initiations. I received all the highest yoga, tantra initiations, and all the complicated stuff, and even became a teacher of the system. I did a few long retreats with them, but then again, not quite exactly what I was looking for. So I moved on to the Zen tradition, where meditation in silence was more emphasized. I could feel that I needed a path that was much simpler, much, suiting to my personality. I'm kind of a minimalist myself. I like to think of myself as a simple guy. It's a nice way to put it. So I thought that a path which would be less intellectual. Tibetan Buddhism was a lot about the philosophy, the logic, you had to read a lot and understand a lot with your mind. But the Zen is all about doing, sitting. They call it shikantaza, which means just sit. The practice they teach the main practice, and that was very good for me, let's say, as a style. But again, after a year of I'd say intensive practice, for my standard, Western standard, let's say, Japanese standard, probably not. But for a Westerner, it was quite intense enough to reach some strange states. Yeah, again, but maybe what was lacking was the proper guide. Yeah, in person, guide, meeting with a guide that could help me. Yeah, go further. But to make the story short, I also studied later different other, traditions, always Eastern traditions, Taoism, Advaita, Vedanta also. But what was missing, I thought, was I felt that all these traditions are best suited for the monastic life, like monastic traditions. That if you want to go, that's why actually I was thinking of becoming a monk, which I almost did. Unfortunately for them, I didn't, but fortunately for me, it wasn't really for me, I think. It wouldn't have been the right choice. But yes, a path that emphasizes meditation a lot, sitting meditation, and also that is best suited for people who can spend their whole days doing only that in an environment similar to a monastery, let's say. I tried to do it at home. I didn't live in a monastery, but I did long retreats with the Zen tradition, and so I experimented a little bit, have a little bit of experience. And what's amazing in those monasteries is that everything is designed, conceived to help you stay present and mindful throughout the day. Every details the way you dress, the shaved head. It's hard to forget that you're a monk and that you're a professional spiritual guy when you have a shaved head and you have to maintain and the dress you're wearing, the way you walk, the way you are taught to clean yourself in the bathroom, and all of that. It's amazing, and you can reach some amazing state of presence and peace. But can you carry them on with you after the retreat in your daily activities if you're not a monk, a professional monk? And unfortunately, I don't think so. So I was desperately looking for a path that would allow me to not have to become a monk, but that I could integrate and use my daily life as a Westerner, modern man that has to, deal with a girlfriend. At the time was a girlfriend, a job, maybe a child, and having to go into do your laundry yourself and do your daily activities at home, having to deal with paying the bills and angry neighbor. I don't know, daily activities, but at the same time being able to remain, or at least, if not entirely, at least not entirely lose that taste or flavor of peace that is so good, that can be so useful. But if you don't have a way, to learn how to integrate it into your life, and actually, I don't think that a lot of those Asian masters, monastic masters, they don't really adapt. In my experience, I'm not naming names, but they don't necessarily adapt very easily to the Western lifestyle. A lot of them, unfortunately, everybody knows, have been involved into scandals throughout the years, in the US anyway. So maybe the monastic path was not the best for me. So I heard about the fourth way from Gurdjieff, or Gurdjieff, as you say in English, and I was interested because I thought, really, this guy knows about, they say that the fourth way is in the world, is not outside of the world, like the monastic or the yogic way or the philosopher way, but it's a way that is applied in the world, in the daily, your daily world, daily life. So I was very interested, never enough to join a group, but enough to study on my own and try to practice their system. And one of my teachers told me once, the fourth way is incomplete. But I didn't dare ask how it was incomplete, what was missing. And it stayed with me in the back of my head. What is missing in the fourth way? Like a koan, almost, like a riddle I had to solve. And it's years later that I discovered what was missing, but also why I was so attracted by the fourth way. Now I know that what was missing was everything that he left out, actually, the Islam and the whole Tasawwuf. Because I think a lot of people would disagree with me, but now looking at what I know now, from what I know now, I think that the fourth way is Tasawwuf, for the disguised into something else, to reach the people of his time, the intellectuals of the 1930s or 40s in Europe. But this is the same thing that we're doing, but what we're doing is so much better, because nothing is missing there. Everything is there. Actually, what was missing, it was exactly what I needed, what I was looking for. Which, for example, it's easy to talk about letting go. You hear about that phrase in New Age, even a lot, actually, in the New Age, teachings. And it's true, you have to let go. You have to let go of everything. But it's very hard to let go, I realized, if you don't have a strong faith in God. If you don't have a strong faith into a benevolent, at least a benevolent presence that, to let go into. Because letting go into the void is quite scary. That's actually what was happening to me when I was 19 years old. I could feel myself dissolving, my body even dissolving into space, and not just my body, my mind, my identity. And when it happens on its own like that, and you don't go crazy, you consider yourself lucky. But if you have a system, if you have already a system that makes sense, like Islam, I discovered later, it becomes very much easier or doable to integrate such an experience, I think. I think it can fit right in the teachings of Islam. But also Islam, unlike Buddhism, I discovered later, is a living tradition. It's a real live wire. There's no broken lineage there. It's the most recent one, the most updated or complete. It's the last pure one. I've studied some traditions that were fascinating, like let's say the Shaiva Tantra of Kashmir, Shaivaism, fascinating stuff. But they themselves admit that their lineage is broken, and they are trying to revive it, to find masters, even of other traditions that can corroborate the meaning of certain texts. And this to me is, I think life is too short anyway. That was not for me. I needed something clear that I can put into practice now. Also, something that everybody can practice, even the simple-minded people like me, as I said, not just the intellectuals, the scholars, or the professional priests, the Brahmins or the priests but no, even the idiots have a chance, because Islam is about the heart, which everybody has in equal quantity, let's say, even the idiots among us. And sometimes their hearts are more open, maybe. But yes, I think there's different types or flavors of awakening. I know that there's some intellect, like mind awakenings, let's say. Maybe a type of awakening that you reach through contemplating, intellectually some deep questions like who am I, or stuff like that. There's also the physical awakening that you reach through martial arts or Tai Chi or Qigong or other physical energetic disciplines. But there's also the awakening of the heart, which I think is the superior awakening that you can reach through a path of devotion. Yeah, I'll tell you why I think that's the superior path, because I talked about those masters who go astray, and sometimes, even had to admit after decades of teaching, after having around a big spiritual organization with thousands of students, sometimes have to themselves admit that they still have ego, after a few scandals, or monetary scandals, or sexual scandals. And I think that the reason why is because the ego is a very subtle. We don't call it ego, but the nafs is a very subtle creature, elusive creature, I think, that can fool you, and it's easy to be fooled by your ego. But because it's in the heart, if the heart is not entirely, purified properly, that's where it's dangerous. That's where you're never safe. because I realized so many, we have buffers. In the fourth way, they use the term buffers, those blind spots that we think we are somewhere that we're not exactly yet. And if you don't have a teacher to tell you that you can go astray for a long time. But even if you have a teacher, more so when you are the teacher yourself, and you've been identified, sometimes you've been recognized as in Buddhism as a great master, as a reincarnated even. I think that's when it's extra dangerous. But there's none of that in Islam. In Islam, they're also never going to ask you to, to worship a human being, which I appreciate a lot, because that's something I also woke up to, a reality I woke up to at some point. I was desperately looking for a perfect human that could understand me better than I can understand myself. I know it's possible because I understand myself already not too good. I know it's possible, but even that is a lot to ask, because I think only God ultimately can know yourself, and you should only look for, God to ultimately please. Of course, you want to please your teachers, but I think you understand what I mean. The type of devotion that sometimes the Western traditions demand, submission to human masters, creatures. Let's say I don't feel comfortable submitting to creatures as much anymore. I'd like to go directly to the creator. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons I converted to Islam. If I want an intellectual reason, yeah. Well, actually, yes, that's the actual reason. I said the intellectual reason is that one. If I want to make sense of the irrational one, the irrational one is the heart. I just got the calling, and yeah, I'd say, yeah, my heart was touched. Maybe I felt something in my heart, something that turned or changed or switched inside of my heart, and my perception of Islam changed after that. And it changed a lot, because I don't look maybe like that, but I was quite a Islamophobic person for a while. I believed all the bad stuff about Islam, and but my change, the turning of my heart happened not after I contemplated intellectually how wrong I was to fear Islam, but in the opposite, the opposite actually. My heart changed first, and the intellect had to follow later. After a vision, I think I told you a few times the story of my vision, and yeah, my perception changed. Something that was scaring me one day was attracting me the next day. Just a bearded man. That was my vision. Yeah. I came to be, I learned to be afraid of those bearded men because of the mainstream media. But yeah, one morning I was very depressed, as I told you once, after having spent the night drinking alcohol for the last time in my life. And I was very hangover, and I prayed to God. I asked, I wasn't even a believer anymore. I was a Buddhist. You're not supposed to believe in God. But it was spontaneous that morning. The pain was loud enough to awaken the truth that I needed God. So I prayed to God, and in an instant, it's not that I saw something in front of me. No, I was carried somewhere else. I was sitting in a different room amongst bearded men. They were clearly Muslim, not Amish or or regular bearded men, or clearly Muslims. Maybe some had the turban even, and I could feel their peace. I could feel the atmosphere. It was tangible, palpable. You could feel, your body could feel the peace in that room, and I knew that was where I wanted to go. I remembered, as if I remembered. Oh, that's where I come from. That's what I was looking for. That's what, and it came back to me as if, yes, I'm one of those. And there was a word, noble. That's the word, noble. The word that came to mind. And it lasted only a few seconds, maybe 4 seconds, I don't know. And when I came back from there, out of that vision, the pain was gone. The physical pain was gone. Probably, I don't remember. Probably no more headache or nausea. But my spiritual state, my emotional state was different. The misery was gone. Actually never came back. That misery, never. And yeah, the peace and also the eagerness to find who are these guys. So I went on the internet and started looking for beards. No, Muslim, Islam, and very soon, quite soon, I found what I was looking for. Yeah, and it was actually the Soul of Islam radio, I think. The first time I heard your voice. Yeah, I was painting, working on a painting for a friend, and I wanted to listen to something, so I typed Sufism podcast. I wanted to talk about what about Sufism, and I think it was one of your podcast episodes, and yeah, right away I recognized in your voice. I could tell. I think this guy knows what I'm talking about. I think he can help me. I felt that, no, I'm pretty sure this. Also, yeah, I felt some sincerity maybe in your voice. Maybe, yeah, also, that's an important ingredient. I'm very, very, yeah, scared of, falling prey to insincere teachers, or because it happened to me in the past, unfortunately. But I could feel from your videos and your voice, I don't know, my intuition, my heart was telling me you can trust this guy, and yeah, I think my heart was right. Because as I said in my what I wrote to you the other day, in a few months, years, let's say a year or two, I think I made more progress than I did in decades before. Yeah. But I think it's important also to know someone like, I'm lucky I found you as my mentor, let's say, early on, because on its own, I think just wanting to study Islam and, just through internet, and I think I would have been lost still for quite a while. Yeah, even if Islam is great, I think I definitely needed someone to present it to me in a way that is more suitable to my style, my personality. Yeah. As I said, the fact that in Islam the emphasis is on faith, that was something that was missing for me. In Tibetan Buddhism, they talked about faith a lot, faith in the Lama, in the Guru, but then again, it's a human being. That's good. That's a good thing. But the faith in God, because God is present, and the divine presence can be felt in the present. And this I know. I have experienced that. but that I couldn't really fit in the Buddhist context. But in Islam, it fits right in, very well. This invitation to also develop this closeness to God, to have a discussion with God, a conversation with God. This resonates a lot with me. I was looking for it in Christianity for a while, because when I was young, I told you, my grandma gave me that practice of talking to God, talking with God in my heart. And I did that. Even though my parents were not religious, my grandma was a little bit, and she told me that, and I remember that it worked. I remember that I could feel someone was there. There was a presence. So I try to find that presence again, because when the presence is there, it's easy to let go, it's easy to surrender. It's possible, not always easy, but it's possible, it's conceivable, that I feel safe enough to actually let go. Because surrendering, it's everything. Huh? It's a serious surrender that is required. Letting go is very popular in New Age. Let go, let go, let go. But everything you need to let go. And this is very scary. But if you have developed this relationship with the divine presence, it becomes possible to do it. I think it becomes possible. It becomes possible. I don't know how they can do it without faith in God. I couldn't. But also that presence can be cultivated and is cultivated, and the help that you receive is also increases, You know that you are, I don't know, I feel like I'm on the right path. I'm not saying I'm reaching somewhere, or I don't want to sound like I'm bragging about anything like that. No. Quite the opposite, actually. There's no questions of that anymore, and it doesn't matter anymore. This is something I learned. I was brainwashed into thinking that I had to do a lot of work to transform myself, to become enlightened, or to become holy, or I don't know what. This is a weird model. I prefer the model I'm following now. That yes, I have to work on myself, of course. I have to work on observing myself, make sure I'm sincere, make sure I'm remembering God. But the work is not to build a better me, or to make a better John, or no, it's to eventually let go entirely of that annoying John that is weighing me down, And this is scary, because we really grasp onto that illusion of self like it's our God, our Savior, It's hard to change. I think it's a very strong mechanism that we have to grasp strongly at the self. But this, I think, can be overcome. I think it's possible if you have something better to grasp onto, like like Allah. I think extremely important. Stillness, presence, awareness, mindfulness, many names, is essential. This is something I developed in meditation practice, but is unfortunately not really necessarily present in Islam, but I think is highly needed, because I think modern people need meditation in general. And I think that Islam was brought to humanity at a time when people were much different than we are now. much less distracted, but also much more present naturally. The life of the people of the Middle Ages was less conducive to losing your natural state of presence, and that capacity I had to remain still when I was a child. I think these people, at least the first Muslims, I think they had it much better than we have it nowadays. And because of that, also, of course, they had our Prophet, peace be upon him, with them. That must have been quite a boost, in quite a helpful boost. But also, they were more suited to start practicing Islam as it is from the get-go. Us, I think, unfortunately, we have a lot of work to do before that. If we want Islam to be as effective as it was to the people of the past, if we could just reach that same level of capacity to remain sitting still, quiet, without having, too much distractions or thoughts, and remain calm, being aware of your body, just body awareness. I taught Tai Chi. I told you Tai Chi years ago, and that was something that was very surprising to me, to see how many people don't even know what position their body is, occupying in space. Finding their own feet is, for a lot of them, their first homework. Should be their first homework, basically. And I'm not making fun of people. We're all basically in the same situation. We have to work to come back into our body, inside the body, inhabit the body, because we're not working with our hands anymore, we're not physical anymore, and many reasons, the distractions, internet, the television, and all of that. So only for that reason, I think it's worth to learn to meditate. Not necessarily to meditate everything I studied or learned. Sorry, probably most of it is useless. I only teach the basic meditation I've learned, which I think is the only meditation most people need, but it's also the most advanced meditation. It's the same. The most basic meditations I've learned for beginners are also the same type of meditation the most advanced practitioners engage in. So it's very simple, as I told you, to just being able to just sit. Well, in Islam, there's something different. You're not alone when you sit. And this could be quite helpful, because in Buddhism, you think you're sitting alone, but actually there's two of you, or three. Your ego and the devil. But in Islam, there is the ego, the devil, but there is also Allah. And if you're lucky, you also have a sheikh. You also have your spiritual guide, if you have developed this connection. So you're not alone. And so, I think all these, I think important. And that way you will feel like if you train into meditation and develop, can be sitting meditation, but can also be moving meditation, walking meditation, or lying down meditation. Any types of meditation that will, first of all, increase your connection with your body, develop this, reconnect your body with your mind and your heart. And you'll see how your salah will change, how less distracted you will be during prayer, for example. This will make a big difference. And also you have to have a minimum of self-awareness that comes from, self-observation that is developed through meditation. It's very useful for any spiritual practice, murakaba, muhasaba, self-observation. Only if you want to, just the basic, precepts, observe the basic precepts. If you have zero mindfulness or awareness, it's much easier to fall into sins without even noticing. But if you have developed this, awareness, wakefulness, presence in meditation, I think your Islamic spiritual path can be quite potent. Yeah. Community is everything. Because we exist, that's something that Buddhism taught me. We exist interdependently. We don't exist unlike our ego would want us to believe. We don't exist as an isolated, self. We exist in interdependence, interrelation with others. That's why seclusion is important in many spiritual path traditions, I think. Because when you go in seclusion, isolation, eventually, at some point, you start to forget who you are. And it can be useful if you know what to do with that. You start to forget who you are because you don't have the feedback from other people, either enemies or foes. And you start to doubting your own, the solidity of your own self. And this is could be useful. You could go mad if you're in jail in isolation, for example. But in a spiritual context, isolation can be good. Because when you start observing yourself, you can clearly see that you not only have one self, but you have multiple selves, depending on who you are interacting with. And when you go towards people who hate you, this will tend to trigger some ugly part of yourself, maybe. But if you go around people who like you, you will notice that it triggers some nicer aspects of your personality. And I noticed that in myself, even when I was very young. I noticed that with my mom and dad, I was a certain kid. And with my grandma, I was a different kid, a better kid, actually, happier kid. I could feel that I changed. So our self is not a solid thing. It's a very changing and moving reality. And if you join a good community, if you have the good fortune of knowing a good community that is cultivating the same values, as you are, have the same sets of values, and are engaged into, or at least wants to, help each other, see the best in each other's, maybe. This allows you to be the best you can be very rapidly, very quickly, actually. I noticed just one thing, the fact that your gaze on me is a big factor into my transformation. I told you, I never had someone who I think saw me like the potential I had maybe in me, or saw a good side of me. I don't know, in a way convincing to me. Some pretended to be nice to me, but I could feel they were. But someone who really, I felt like could look at me and see something good. And I know that it was an authentic gaze because I felt the response inside of me. Because when you cross an authentic gaze, you are surprised by the response of your heart. And that can make the changes come very quickly. So to not be too woo-woo or esoteric, let's keep it simple. I'd say when you go towards someone who is capable, is not faking it, is capable of perceiving something good in you, maybe what God has put there in the first place, which is not entirely, covered yet. This allows that thing to start to grow again, because it brings your own, I think, it's like waking up a faint memory, if you want to be poetic, but this is a memory of something real. It's not in a vain imagination. and this thing is real, and this is like a scent, that you follow, and if you follow long enough, it will become stronger and stronger, and at some point you feel like you are enveloped in that scent, and you can start, spreading it around, helping others by coaching, for example. But you need to yourself first feel comfortable enough, I think, and see clearly enough into your own, your own delusions to, I think, first. But yeah, that I think that I'd like to be able to be to someone else one day. If I can look at someone the way I've been looked at, the positive way, I think I could be useful. Inshallah, that's my hope.